The second speaker will be talking about self-discovery, the art of finding what you have and need and rising against all odds to become what you want. He's an SME business development consultant, strategic planner, financial sustainability trainer, motivational speaker, media trainer. I can go on and on and on. Business coach, broadcaster, and businessman. He has trained for SMEDA, Enterprise Uganda, PSFU, and BGC Uganda. Over 15 years working with SMEs, he has experience in systems training, financial sustainability, strategic organizational development aspects, and all the big words that you can think of. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Denis Lindo.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have been ably introduced, and all I have to do is talk about something that I've found out to be a passion. It's a bit of a challenge to speak after a 19-year-old who has made it in life, and I am about triple our age, and I'm still trying to find out a little bit of me on quite a number of issues. I spend a lot of my time talking to and dealing with what I call the SMEs, the small and medium enterprises in Uganda. When you look at the Asian tigers, Japan, China, Taiwan, Singapore, Malaysia, the greatest strength of these countries is as a result of the emphasis that has been put within the SME sector. And it's a common word, it has become synonymous, it's a cliche now. We are talking about SMEs, but the passion for me is more than 75% of our population is made up of the youth. And from my experience in dealing with a number of organizations and being an employer and being on many interview panels, there are many youths that probably would not get a job because the entire civil service, altogether, we are probably talking about less than 400,000 jobs. And our universities are churning out a number of people with all sorts of degrees. You can find a multitude of degrees in accounting, for instance, Bachelor of Science in Accounting, Bachelor of Arts in Accounting, and all of them are coming out for a job market that is not expanding. And so what's the way forward for Uganda, where half of our population is below the age of 25 years? And that population must get results, must get solutions to the problems that probably they're going to be facing. And indeed, you hear the terminologies like my predecessor has just been said, government etuyambe, government etuyambe, government etuyambe. Then the other exposure I've had is that many times when I've been dealing with people in organizations, there comes a time when certain times an organization is laying off people that are going after serving that organization for a number of years. And the general exit interview is that, what are you going to do after you leave here? We give you the retirement package. So what are you going to do? And somebody says, when I finally leave, I'm going to start up a small business. And this has been akin to bankers, big managers in different organizations, people that have been churning out loans in terms of billions, and the next exit position is that I'm going to start up a small business. So that's a passion for me in that area. But recently, I was challenged again. I was asked to come and speak to retirees again from Makerere University, and I had a chance to speak to 68 retiring professors. And in that group, I had two people that were quite outstanding. Because for a person to become a professor, you've done your first degree, you've done your second degree, you've done your PhD, you've written quite a number of things that you've written, and your fellow PhD holders decide that you become a professor because you're adding on a body of knowledge. So I was here, younger than them, they're probably 65 and above, and they're asking me to tell them what to do when they retire. And they're professors. Amongst them was a professor of insect entomology. Then I met another professor of quantum physics. I didn't know what to deal with these guys because, indeed, they knew everything. So I asked the professor of insect entomology, where does ensenene come from? And the man says, ensenene? And he says, yeah, I actually test and take ensenene, but it's a subject worth researching. And the moment he accepted that he didn't know where ensenene comes from, then I got to know that actually behind or above, everybody who knows there's somebody probably who's going to know something better. So I also learn from my young ones, just like that professor was going to learn from me. The common challenge that has faced all of us, and that which we don't learn from school, is the whole art of discovering and getting to know who we are. When I asked him, who are you? He said, I am a professor of insect entomology, professor of quantum physics. And I said, no, that's not what you are. That's what you learned in school, and probably that's what you do. So in my description of today, I am challenged to discuss with you self-discovery, the art of finding out what you have, and what you may need in arriving at the kind of things that you want to become in life. It's very difficult to ask somebody to give you an answer about who they are. If you were to ask me a friend, if you were to ask me that question tonight, I would say I am your friend. But what I do are the things that the Master of Ceremony has just been reading that I do. That's what I do. But who am I exactly? It's a question I would like you to ponder a little bit on. Who are you? Another person told me I'm a man, and I said, I know, I can see. Another one said, I'm a lady. I said, well, that I can't prove, but we can prove whether you're a lady. So who am I? And the only way you can know who you are, because when you know who you are, then you open up the journey to where no any other creature will ever go. There is no baby chimpanzee that will ever be able to know who it is. Neither any of these creatures that you see, that we many times and in many of the circumstances consider to be the lion of the jungle, the king of the jungle, the strongest elephant. Not even the creatures, not even the trees would probably know what they are. But it's also very discouraging that many of us leave universe, and probably the universe, without having had an attempt at doing a self-discovery. So what is self-discovery? It's a process of acquiring insight in one's own character, probably. It's an act or a process of gaining knowledge or understanding your abilities, character, and feelings. But it's also probably a process of learning more about yourself and who you are. And that's the one I like most. Learning about yourself and who you are. The importance, it can lead you to the right career, for instance. I speak with many doctors. Even as recent as last week, somebody said, my father pushed me to do medicine, but that's not what I enjoy doing. Yesterday I met another person who has done architecture, and she was telling me, yes, I'm doing architecture and I've traveled the whole entire world. There's no place probably I've not gotten to this in this young age. But my passion and my interest is working with people like in an orphanage. And when I really prodded down deep into trying to get to know who she was a compassionate person. That's what forms really her core. So, the right career can be a question. You could have straight A's in your life, triple A's. But let me tell you something. This triple A will never tell you who you are. And indeed, that tells us that our schools will never be able to teach us who we are. But understanding your one's thoughts and feelings and values and the background is one of the ways that will help you. There are some standard ways that I would think would help somebody to discover who they are. One, you could have a revelation, and that revelation could be spiritual. Some people talk to God in a certain way. There could be social revelations and affirmations. Your next of kin and friends and people within your circle of influence talking about what you're likely to be. A few times ago, somebody was telling me, I think you're right. I mean, it's nice that you can be a pastor. And I'm now considering probably I could become one. There can be also specific tests and examinations that can help you to get to know a little bit of who you are. Sometimes it's challenges and triumphs, like the 19-year-old who has just been here going through all the triumphs of being what she is right now. She's now getting to the level of finding out who she is. Then there's the personal reflection. And on the personal reflection, I just want to share the nursery antics of getting to know who you are. Anybody who wants to get to know who they are, according to me, must have a spiritual orientation. Many of us have got what we call a negative spiritual orientation. Some have got a neutral spiritual orientation, and others have got a positive spiritual orientation. And very quickly, somebody with a neutral spiritual orientation has no clue beyond themselves that there's a supernatural being that is responsible for their being who they are. Actually, on a person-to-person basis, the resolution of conflict with such a kind of a person is, I will finish you, it's about me and you, and I'll crush you. Somebody with a negative spiritual orientation believes that beyond themselves, there is something more superior. The only difference that this thing is negative. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, the negative spiritual oriented person will worship a chicken, will worship a river, will worship a tree, will worship a mountain. These days people are worshiping their phones, they will worship their money, they will worship their houses. Sometimes you can even worship your spouse. Negative spiritual orientation. I've seen guys bragging about their best halves. And in the next 24 hours, the best half has already been taken. That has happened. The positive spiritual orientation, I will not even labor, is a person who believes that beyond himself, she subscribes to a true living God. And I said I'm not a pastor, but I'm soon becoming one. So, one of the discovery avenues would be that you have a spiritual orientation that is very clear. Secondly, you need to discover and think about what strengths you expose. Anybody who is going to discover their strength is going to find out that they have an opportunity to exercise what almost everybody else doesn't have. For instance, one of the strengths that people have is reliability, dependability, trustworthiness, predictability. If you are dependable and reliable and trustworthy and predictable, you become insurmountable. When I interview people, you are looking for reliability. When you work with people, you are looking for dependability. When you live longer with people, you look for trust. And then after trust, you want to know that this person is capable of doing things as they've said they are going to do them in the time and in the manner and in the fashion that they've claimed that they're going to do it. They are predictable. One of the challenges, we are not predictable, we are not trustworthy, we are not reliable, we are not dependable. In football, we rely on the strikers to get us the goal. We depend on the goalkeeper for the goals not to get in. But if you have those two strengths, you become that word I've mentioned, insurmountable. Many of us have got weaknesses. Weaknesses. If you find out your weaknesses, then you are in the art of finding out how you're going to address the weaknesses. Common weaknesses that are really cross-cutting. Forgetfulness is a great weakness. People forget that they're human beings. People forget that they are married. People forget that there was a time when they talked to this sweet girl in a corner and they were asking her, will you marry me? And I don't even understand why everybody who is asked, will you marry me? They look down. Yes, I will do. None of them looks up. If you get one who looks up, there's a problem. But all of them look down. And you know what happens? Tomorrow you find somebody stepping ahead, the mother of her children. They've forgotten. Some people forget that they're human beings. And you hear, Yakutenkoko. Another weakness is taking things for granted. A lot of us take things for granted. Many of us take things for granted. An example in point, you find somebody has gone to the bank to bank money and is at next to you and he says, Muzei, nyambako kakaramuko, help him with your pen. And this person has come to bank some money and is using your pen. On an average, actually, if any of you were to look at the pens you have, I know you can't see them now because you have a bottle near you, but tomorrow look at that pen. You are likely not to have bought that pen. You got it from somewhere. But one of the reasons is that we take things for granted. We are never prepared for any adversities. We are never prepared for any forewarnings. We are never prepared for anything because we take many things for granted. It's a major weakness. Sometimes another major weakness is taking and making wrong assumptions. Great one. People make assumptions only that they are wrong. What opportunities do you have? Because in every strength lies an opportunity. For instance, if your strength was one that is a trustworthy person, the opportunity is for you to be entrusted with being a treasurer. If your strength is somebody who is reliable, dependable, trustworthy, you become the second in command. I haven't seen any second in command, whether in the army or government or anywhere, who is not dependable and reliable. Try a partner who is not dependable and reliable, and you can see challenges. In every strength you have lies an opportunity. Suppose you're compassionate. You have an opportunity to work in a daycare center, in a palliative care center. But also if you are a very strong-willed person like kulia kushoto nyuma geuka kuja hapa, then you have an opportunity to work in a security company. Let me tell you, if you're a compassionate guy, you land on the right job. You cannot be compassionate and then you're employed in a security company. Then you're saying, you thief, you know, when you come, I am going to shoot you, please, don't come, please. But also we don't want you to be the other guy who works into a daycare center and you say, we mtoto kuja hapa, keti hapa kini. Tomorrow kids are not going to come. Your strength determine where you can work. And the opportunity for you to work in any of those places entirely depends on how you hone and position yourself in terms of how the strengths are going to become opportunities. People look for opportunities in America. The opportunities are in you. People look for opportunities in the East. They go to China to look for jobs. The opportunities are in you because when you get to China, it is you who does that job. The moment you look for the opportunities in yourself, and I would imagine that you can look for 10 strengths, 20 weaknesses, 10 opportunities in yourself, I want to tell you the journey for self-discovery starts. Ladies and gentlemen, there are threats also that come to you. Many of us fear chronic sicknesses. I'm told there is medicine these days for some of these chronic sicknesses. But there's one threat that we many times fear, which is death. Many times we fear death, but I've been told also death have been overcome. I'm told that now there was a man just if not so many weeks ago who had prepared his graveyard and it was possible that he knew how everything it is. But today in this town there is also a threat. I mean, there is also a plan for that threat. You can easily go into somebody's office today. The organizations are there and then you sit down with them. Then you tell them, when I die, this is what I want to happen. I want a procession. They ask you, do you also want people to come on this function? You say, yes, you can bring about 30. Then they ask you, would you like us to give you people who can cry? Yes, you can tell them, yes, we will give you people. Do you want the ones who can cry in bass and soprano? Yes, we can also have that. It's possible. You can plan all these things. You can even plan to say, so and so should never come on my death. Bury your death. There is another threat, which is age. Age is coming in. The other day, I didn't know that I would use glasses to read. Now, I'm looking at things from that distance. So I start doing like this. Then my daughter says, what's the problem with you? There's a fear of age. People are denying their age. They don't want to be called Muzee. The other day, somebody called me Muzee, and it was my mechanic, and I went out, I said, why do you call me Muzee? How can you call me Muzee? But when I went back in the mirror, I looked at myself. I said, what's not happening? I've just seen another one called Isaac Ruchi here. Who are young people together? He was around here. What has happened? We've become old men. Am I communicating with somebody? With all due respect, Isaac, whatever you are. But let me tell you, you must accept that this threat can be overcome because age is a number. But there's a real threat, the fear of rejection. If you want to try one, Let you go back to your house and your wife or your spouse just keeps quiet. You say, hi, honey. She says, hi. How has been your day? She says, She keeps quiet today, tomorrow, the third day. You find the guy saying, hello, hello. This one, and I have seen people even shifting because somebody has just decided to quick up. So the fear of rejection. If a child is coming running and the child says, welcome back, daddy, with the arms laden, wide open. And you say, no, you're dirty, don't touch me. You may permanently dent their life forever. I want to talk about that threats will be there in your life, but when you discover that these threats can be overcome, you move on with life. Talents. It's nice to discover your talents. What's a talent? A talent is a God-given gift. Now, you may link this to the spiritual orientation I'm talking about. A talent is not a chicken-given gift. A talent is not a river-given gift. A talent is not a mountain. I'm not preaching. It's not a mountain-given gift. A talent is a God-given gift. And in every person, there are 1,001 talents. I just need you to discover 10. And in each of your talents, you can make money. In each of your talents, you can control. In each of your talents, there are many things that you can do. So, ladies and gentlemen, there are many people who impress me with their talents. One of them is Kipro Teach. Why is it not Kipro You? The fellow just running around. Don't you know how to run? You can also run, and we win. There's this other man called Katolubama. Have you do you understand this man? The man just rolls his eye and he rolls this other one like this, and the man gets money. Nanduja, Judith Babirie. Name them. There is Dr. Mitch here. All he does is to come here, and with all due respect, he has allowed me to make this comment. All he does is come here and says, ladies and gentlemen, the next thing is coming on the agenda. The next thing, ladies and gentlemen, and with a few minutes, the man is earning 3 million. I have a mistress of ceremony who works only, and just I'm talking about a mistress of ceremony who works only on a Saturday and a Sunday in a week. She does 4 Saturdays in a week, 500,000 shillings each. We were talking about 2 million. We are talking about 2 million, so we are talking about how much million? 8 million in a month. So if she does also another Sunday, we are talking about another 8 million, 16 million, better than any average member of parliament. And all she does are 5 stupid things. Ladies and gentlemen, the Bagole are coming. You mean the Bagole can refuse to come? Ladies and gentlemen, the cake is going to be cut. You mean we can refuse? You put the cake there and you don't tell us to cut it. We'll go and cut it. Ladies and gentlemen, these guests are going to greet each other. Greeting, what's the problem? And the mistress of ceremony, like any person who speaks at any Kwanjula, gets free things. Yes, this man of Kwanjula only has 1 suit. That's the investment you have to do. You're using your talent. And the man sits at the front of the car. Before he comes, the function cannot go on. When he gets there, he gets a partaking of each and everything that has been given to him. There was a doctor I saw here, a certain doctor. Huh? Huh? There's a certain doctor here. I'm not talking about people in diaspora. I'm talking about people here. Certain doctor. Very talented man. Your talent will take you where no any other creature will ever go. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll be set aside from the rest of the mammals because you have a special thing that God has given you, and that's your talent in your self-discovery. You'll unlock your potential, which is hidden. Somebody may want to ask me, how talented are you? My talent is speaking. And because we speak in 15 minutes, then I can't come out with all the arsenals that I have. But listen to this. I can speak, I can motivate, I can teach, I can facilitate. And each of them comes with a different fashion. And I'm talking about talking only. I have not done singing yet. When I get to singing, that will also happen. It is very possible that each one of us here can become we are all enslaved into a certain kind of mentality. But it's very possible that each one of us can become liberated. If tonight you were to go back and lie on your bed and don't look at the ceiling and say, Omsaja Yazimba, but look at the ceiling and say, what are my talents? And if you identified 2 or 3 of them, Through this forum, we can sit and work at your talent, becoming a source of your bread. Ladies and gentlemen, you remain unknown to yourself at your own peril, both social, spiritual, because after you discover who you are, then the next logical step is to discover whose you are. Thank you for listening to me.
Woo!